Hi guys, how are you? Welcome back to my garden. Today I want to do a follow-up video to one of my previous videos where I took you with me here on a terrace garden, and together we did a little planting project with some of my favorite dark red dahlias together with these amazing steely blue salvia. In the video, unfortunately, I didn't know the name of those salvias, but one of you was kind enough to reach out to me and tell me that this here is Salvia Patens. So thank you so much for reaching out, and that gave me the opportunity to go back inside and do my research, because whenever I plant something in the garden, I really love to know where does a plant come from, where does it thrive in its original habitat, because only if you understand that, then you can give the plant the possibly best location in your own garden. So if you want to learn more about these amazing steely blue salvias, I hope that you'll enjoy today's video. Every plant that you grow in your garden has a name that always derives from either Latin or from Greek language, and that makes it very easy, especially for me. I live in Poland here and my Polish skills are very limited, so if I go to the garden center and ask for sage, I clearly don't know the word in Polish, so I can always go there and ask for salvia, and the staff, if they are horticulturally trained, they exactly know what I'm talking about, and that system works globally. Secondary, that name is always an indicator to describe the plant. It can describe, for example, where it likes to thrive, or it can describe something visually about the plant. For example, palustris on Euphorbia palustris tells you that it likes to sit somewhere wet. This is what palustris means. Or for example, iris derives in the Greek word for rainbow, and rainbow truly they are. So Salvia patens, patens refers to the flowers, and patens means nothing but open or unblocked, and this is exactly what these flowers are. They remind you a little bit of snapdragon blooms that are constantly squished open so that any kind of pollinator can fly in very easily and without any blockage and get onto the pollen. If you want to grow something successfully in your own garden, I sometimes think it is very interesting to learn and understand where do these plants actually grow in their natural environment, because only then you can make sure that you give them the very best in your own garden. Salvia patens is also called Mexican sage, and yes, they grow in Mexico, in mountainous areas of Mexico and Guatemala, where they are exposed to full sun. So once you put them somewhere in your garden where they are in full sun, they should be happy as Larry, but they can cope with partly shade fairly well too. In terms of soil, the good news is they're not very fuzzy, so they definitely like to thrive in neutral garden soil. It has to be a rich soil though. And the two things that they really don't like is they don't like to dry out, and at the same time they don't like to sit somewhere waterlogged, so don't try to grow them in your bog garden. And I can definitely attest to the point that they don't like to dry out. When I bought them, I put the first couple of plants here in the garden where they sat in their containers for 24 hours. And within the next day, basically, the leaves look like very sad, soggy salad. But the good thing is, once they were on the ground and I watered them in well, they came back with a blink of an eye. So the plants will show you once they're not happy and when they need a little bit of extra attention and water. Big question is, are these plants going to be hardy here? And the answer, unfortunately, is quite simple. If something grows in Guatemala and Mexico, it is not hardy here. It's recommended if you are, for example, in a zone 8 and I'm in a zone 7B, but if you are in a zone 8, you can grow them somewhere fully south-facing, mulch them in for winter, and if it is a mild winter, you might be lucky and they will come back after winter. They can cope with temperatures down to -12 degrees, and here it can get definitely colder and also for longer periods of time. So what am I going to do? Well, number one, I can go to the garden center again and just buy them again. But there are two other ways in how you can propagate them. Number one is I can collect seeds, and then early on next year, like in April time, I can sow them, and within the same year they will still come to bloom. Or I will take cuttings, push those cuttings into some fresh garden compost, keep them watered, and within weeks they will develop roots and definitely root in. The problem is that I don't have a greenhouse, so I don't really know where to overwinter these small plants either. So probably I'm going to collect some seeds, and if it doesn't work, I can still go to the garden center. Now is a good time to put my 8 plants finally into the ground, and the planting is really easy. I've prepared the soil already. If you happen to have sandy soil to what I have here naturally, I advise you to feed your soil with some fresh compost or soil straight from the garden center, also some organic bone chips. They will break down to nitrogen, feed the soil and your plants in the long run to make sure that they produce more and more blooms. And then I plant them that level. So I think there's no excuse to not have some of these fantastic plants in your own garden. I still want to show you where I planted those additional 8 salvia plants, but before I do so, I wanted to share this with you. This is my favorite vista onto the terrace garden at this time of the year. And these are exactly the moments when I have to take myself back a little bit, 2.5 years ago, when all of this was just one steep slope. It was totally overgrown by stingy nettles and blackberries and perennial weeds, and you couldn't work in here. It was impossible. So starting to level everything out, it really paid off. A little bit of stamina, goodwill and fantasy, and now I'm rewarded with all of this. So this is just a fantastic additional garden room that pretty much came for free because the slope, it was not used and it was really nothing before. So now I have really amazing bearded iris here. They are centered. I will do an entire tour of the bearded iris that I grow in my garden here. So if you are intrigued, just check out my next upcoming videos and there you will see more of my bearded iris. Then the clematis here that I grow on the support system. More and more flower buds and flowers are appearing, so this is going to be quite a show for a long time, I believe. Here on the left, this is where I did one of my previous videos. I planted some petunias and some dahlias. This is Sam Hopkins, and can you see first flower buds appearing? So won't be long up until I have my first dahlia blooms, which is really exciting. There's already almost a carpet of perfect violet petunia blooms, and another perfect site is here in the back, the Napata. This is Walker Slow. If you have no idea about Napata, really grow Walker Slow. It's easy, it's carefree, it flowers for ages. It's a magnet for a lot of wildlife, like a lot of bees and bumblebees are in here, and it looks so nice how it flows down here. Then I'm really happy that I can finally show you my one delphinium that's never killed by slugs and snails. I have no idea about the variety, about this one again. That came years and years and years ago, but I love it. It's like a silvery violet lilac tone with a black center. Really beautiful. I just love the structure that they bring because they are, again, like skyrocketing and very big with an impact. So I was very happy that I could collect some seeds and that I have seedlings, and there are a lot more plants down here where I hope that they're going to thrive and be happy, and next year I will have some blooms. I'm going to keep you posted, but this is what I actually want to show you. So in the back, this is where I put more of the blue salvia. So if I just swing around, this is where you see the previous project, what we just did. So there is a nice blob of steely blue dahlias there. Then there is another one here just behind the great burnet next to the dahlias and the fuchsias. Really interesting. One more plant went into this area. What I did in the meantime too is I planted 2 more Panacetum vertigo here because I thought that they would really soften the edge and look really pretty when they spill over. And I think they're a really nice companion also with the fuchsias, by the way. I think they work really well together because it makes these like pinkish reddish flowers from the fuchsias pop even more, and probably now in the back also the steely blue salvia. So it is like a river of blue in this terrace here, on this terrace here. And they're so fantastic. I'm really happy that I made the decision to purchase them, that I found even more, and I'm even happy that I finally know what that is so I could share it with you. That's it from me in my garden for today. A little bit out of a blue video, to be honest. I haven't planned on doing this, but since I finally learned what the salvia actually are that I bought in the garden center, I was so excited about it that I had to share it with you. Even though my YouTube account, I always try to give you all the information about plants. In general, in this account, I really try to focus on plant combinations and how to create something and how to combine colors and textures, because I come from a fashion design background, so this is really my forte. Whenever it comes to any kind of knowledge about gardening, it's all self-taught. My parents also taught me a lot, but I'm not a trained horticulturist. So if every now and then I might say something wrong, I'm really sorry for that. But before going into a video, I always research and always try and make sure that all the information that I give to you is definitely valid. So thank you so much if you decide to subscribe to my channel. Thank you if you give me a thumbs up. Thank you for watching today's video. And I would really love to welcome you in one of my many other projects that are still lingering around in my head that I want to share with you. So hope I find time for that, and I would really love to welcome you next time around. Take care, guys. Bye.